Ihr Lieben, herzlich willkommen zu einem kleinen Podcast mit Karen Shams. Ich mache eine kurze Einleitung auf Deutsch, dann machen wir in Englisch weiter, aber inshallah haben wir dann ein paar deutsche Untertitel dabei. Das ist mittlerweile bestimmt irgendwie technisch möglich. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, thank you.
Really nice to have you here.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, happy to be here, in my home.
Yes, I'm invited in Karen's home. And Karen, we met on a yoga retreat and you are considering yourself as a peace worker.
Yeah.
Peace activist is something like this. And in an area, in a region where conflict is history, actually, is kind of identity, is like everywhere. When I walk as a German through the streets of Israel or of the West Bank, I'm kind of shocked because of all this military, young people being used carrying guns and stuff. So can you tell us what made you decide to be a peace activist?
So it's interesting because I think that I never really defined myself as a peace activist. Like, people always defined me as one more than I define myself. Like, I do have a lot of work, I would say, that relate to the conflict. I hate this word because, conflict cannot describe, it's not a word that can really describe what we're dealing with here. It's much more. Even to say a war, I'm not sure even if it's enough. Maybe there is not any word that can define this weird, crazy situation that's going on here. And I think for me it's more like, let's say recently, I much more define myself as a human rights activist, but it's really like new thing, I feel. Peace, also it's a big word, and even when we say peace, I think we need to ask ourselves what, at least here in this region, what it means, peace. So maybe I am a peace activist. I like more which word we use, a peacemaker. Because I felt it was always my energy, like to try to, to create harmony. Or I always felt that I want that people will get along together. Doesn't matter where. Even in my family, I was always the one that like trying that everybody will be okay, like kind of.
Like be in harmony with each other. Blessed be the ones who bring peace, because they will be called
the sons of God.
The sons of
God, yes.
Yeah. So in a region like, and I'm now here for a week, I've just seen a little few things, but it's a complex situation. It's much too complex to make any decision who is right or wrong. But, there's so many influences here, so many belief systems, so many historic ideas of identity and of nationalism and of whatever. What are the moments where you experience peace in your work?
Nice. Wow, it's a nice question. Like, for me, every time, and sometimes it's hard to explain because, me as Israeli entering to West Bank illegally, because as I mentioned before, I'm not allowed, like I can go to West Bank, at least to the areas that controlled by the Israeli military, or the Israeli government in the villages, but I'm not entering. But I'm not allowed to enter Palestinian cities legally. And for me, every time that I do it, beside the fact that I feel like sometimes fuck the system and all of that, I feel it's a moment that I feel peace in a sense that it's like I got over my fears. And I like this question because it's made me think about something like we can feel, and it's an assumption with like question mark about it, like we can feel in peace if we manage to overcome our fears. something like this. Like I imagine the moments that, like in the entrance of every Palestinian city in West Bank, there is a red sign, a huge one, written in Hebrew and in English. This road or the place you enter is forbidden to Israelis, you're dangerous, your life, you're in a risk, blah, blah, blah. Everything that creates fear. And in the beginning, every time I cross, I was afraid. I didn't know what I'm afraid from, but I was afraid.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Just to see a sign, I'm not allowed, and then I do it, it's like... And also, of course, because it says not just I'm not allowed, legally I'm not allowed, and I'm dangerous my life. Like it's a risk. So it's like so many fears. And
so
then
fantasy is going on and telling you
totally.
Get shot when you enter.
Yeah, and I don't know where this thing will come. And also, of course, shit happens and things happen. So, of course, for Israelis, for Palestinians, for everybody, but from all sides. So I feel in the moment, like that's what crossed my mind when you brought this question, like in the moment I can get over this fear, I felt something like after, it took a while after, but then I felt in peace. And of course, also as we did in the yoga retreat where we met, this moment of connection between Israelis and Palestinians, when, like we had in this amazing workshop I did with another friend.
So just for explanation, like Karen was hosting a workshop, a yoga workshop basically, in the West Bank, in the desert, and there were like Palestinians and Israelis invited, and we had like beautiful moments, practicing together, sitting together at the bonfire and singing, like all of different cultural songs as one family, right?
Yeah, and for me it's really like it's every time, like it's so not obvious that we, like the system or people or I don't know who, like don't want us to be together, to sit together. And in the moment it's happening, beside the fact that it's really touching and beautiful, it's just like, okay, that's the way it's need to be. Like we can be together if all the one around will just won't be there, or I don't know. Like sometimes I feel, and I think it's an important saying. Like I thought about it recently that if I'm not sure, I put it as a question because I really don't know nothing. It's only from my small little experience, which is a lot, but it's still very little. That if all the countries, and I'm speaking now in a big scale, all the countries around, like all over the world, I would say even, will ignore the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or won't take part of it or won't take side, I believe that we could solve it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a big thing, you know. I'm still searching and questioning this, but I do know that big part of the escalations that goes, it's from what's happening around the world. So sometimes I just feel that everybody around need to just, I won't say disappear, but we're just like won't take a side. Even though sometimes politically, of course, it's happening because it brings pressure on government, like it gave pressure on the Israeli government. There is good things sometimes with this, I understand. But at the same time...
You said one pretty important thing, like to not take a side. Maybe this is the thing we are talking about at the moment, because, you know, we are just recording a podcast for people from not this conflict, actually, from people in Germany or somewhere else. And talking about peace and about forgiveness is maybe like talking about not choose a side, even though you tend to choose one somehow. You feel like more sympathy for the one side or for the other side somehow. And like for someone who is like really, you're born Israeli, you told us that you're feeling the restrictions you just have in this area. the other side feels the same thing, and kind of the art seems to be to not take a side, choose a side. Is this even possible for you?
For me as Karen, I always remind myself, and it's a good question, like when after 7th of October massacre happened, I saw this, I think, very humanized part in me that tend to choose a side. And of course, it's the one that tend to choose the side I'm from as Israeli, as Jewish, supposedly, or I need to be, and I need to be in this side. And I think it's very human, like as humans, that's like what our human system do, is trying to choose a side which is close to the group of people that we know, like who we consider our group of people. Mm-hmm. And of course, I will always choose my group of people as the group I want to support them. Today, alhamdulillah, my group of people is much wider. And I think this is what I try to do, and that's what I wish that everybody will do, is to widen who is our group of people. So for me, it's not just Israelis, of course, it's not just Jewish, it's Palestinians, it's Arabs, it's people from the Middle East. And then I think we can see much more everything that's happening in this crazy region is relate to us, as something that we care, something that we care about. And it's hard because I think the natural thing is to choose a side as humans, like I think every animal will protect her group.
Definitely. It's quite interesting because we are human beings and we look for identity in our history, in our kind of, roots where we felt. And you have kind of the, you told me this, the lifestyle of a nomad somehow. Yeah, you are basically traveling around since 20 years.
Yes.
And living
since I born, actually, even with my family, the amount of houses I moved, it was crazy, but
So you've been living in several countries, having boyfriends from several countries too.
Yeah.
And so you experienced, what made you widen your mind? Did you, you have been talking about Egypt, about Jordan, about Turkey, and you was always saying this is my second home.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of homes. Actually.
I have a lot of homes, alhamdulillah. I feel home, I would say, everywhere in the Middle East. Maybe it will sound weird because I'm not religious. I do believe in God, but I don't see myself as religious. But I do feel that my soul is from this land, whatever it means. And of course, it's not mean to control on others and all this political point of views. And I can be against many things. But I'm also, I feel that my soul is from this land in the bigger scale of it's not just the Israel, small little country from this region, I'm part of it. And I would say something really interesting that you don't know about me, and I feel also it's part of me. My family is super open family. I feel that I always grew up as in a very open family that see everybody as equal. My dad's first language, even though he born in Romania, was Arabic. When he came in 1949 to Israel, Palestine, he grew up after the refugee camp of some Jews grew up in. He grew up in an Arab Christian monastery.
Wow.
Yeah. As kids, we used to go to Christmas celebration in Nazareth because it was part of my dad's childhood, even though he was Jewish. And his first language was Arabic. So I feel I always have this open-minded or wider perspective of reality.
And also of identity somehow.
And somehow also of identity.
you considered yourself, it was a pretty nice expression.
Yeah, national queer on the semantic spectrum.
National queer on the semantic spectrum. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I love it because I do feel very much Israeli, but I feel very much Arab. And also, yeah, this land is so full with so many traditions. So it's all part of me. And there is even a song of Mahmoud Darwish. He's a Palestinian poem writer that is saying, he writes, I'm Turkish, I'm British, I'm Palestinian, I'm the son of all the mothers that been on this land. So I think there is in us everything from everything. So.
This is like such a big point, because it's a question of identity and the question of to whom do I really belong? Because of course I can tell myself the story that I am German actually. But what does that mean? When I looked as a child on these little lines on the map, it was clear that it's made up somehow. They are super random. You know, how is Germany different from France or from Poland or whatever? I really don't know. But when you're looking for your identity and you search in your nationality, you are searching your identity in borders, actually.
Yes.
So in something made up, and because something made up is so unstable, it is unstable, you're really like maybe try to defend it even harder because you know how unstable your idea of identity actually is. And this is what makes this kind of peace work, when you work together with people, pretty interesting, because someone who was living like in the West Bank his whole life, or in Israel his whole life, has maybe a huge potential of being so stuck in this identity that there is a feeling of defense, like even part of this identity.
I think I will say a few things. First, I think we all stuck. That's first. We all stuck in something, if we see it or not. And we all stuck in identity issues somehow. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like the fact that we need this, like you said, this identity, I'm like this, I'm like that, to justify my, I don't know, my life here. It's a bit weird. And I forgot what is the second thing I wanted to say. Yeah.
But maybe let's talk about like the first thing, because the most spiritual thing I know is like the search for identity. And sometimes I look in the world and think there are not so many spiritual people, but I think there is just a difference in complexity. I want to answer this question, because when every human being has I think the really need to answer this question for himself somehow.
Which question?
Who am I?
Who am I?
When I answer this question with I am a Palestinian, and I don't think about it, what this actually means, then it's kind of, okay, this is the end of my spiritual search somehow.
Yeah. I just remember, I can't tell the whole story from the Gita, from the Bhagavad Gita, that I think Krishna tell to Hanuman. They had a conversation between them, and then, or with Rama, but never mind, I don't remember which gods exactly, but one tell the other, who am I? And Krishna telling him, if you don't know who am I am you. Something like this.
Yeah.
And you know which story I'm talking about. And I love this. It's a nice story. I'm bad with telling stories, but it's a nice story because all this separation that we do, I'm like this, you're like this, and it's make it, of course, I think in the same time to have definition, like very clear definition of who we are, make things sometimes much more easier. My life is, I feel double, 3 times harder than many other people that I know, because I don't have a clear definition of who am I.
This is really something that takes like security out of your life somehow, right?
I think the opposite. I think people, no, the opposite. I think people, like we started to speak before about, like that people feel that they need to defend on themselves on something. I feel if I clear, or I have a strong feeling of who am I, but like deeply, like not the outside, who am I? I don't feel like, I never had feeling that I need to protect myself from something. I always felt secure. I always feel safe. I always feel that I have the protection of God. And I never felt that I need to fight for something, because I feel this need to fight come from insecure feeling.
This was actually what I was talking about. Like, there is like a superficial security somehow when you have easy answers to the question, who am I? Like, you know, when I'm convinced of a political or religious identity somehow.
Yeah.
Then I will answer this, and this will give me a superficial security. I will have a strong opinion about something. It will be easy for me to choose a side. Some kinds of things that a lot of people have. I experienced in my own life that the less I could really answer the question, who am I? Because it's not an answer you give and then it's over. Because it's just like an experience that is going on and on and on.
Yeah, and you can always ask, and then who you are.
And
then who am I?
Yes. Just a lot of those securities, they just fell away. And I was kind of, I might be opener and opener and opener, like trusting more in God, because I was feeling Him like more inside of me. But on the same thing, I was a lot more confused when it comes to politics, to who is right or wrong. I couldn't decide, because there were just not those many identifying opinions in my spirit, in my mind. You know what I mean?
That there is not say it again. No, I'm trying to understand the last sentence, that there is not enough of...
I think an opinion gets the much stronger the more you are identified with this opinion.
Yes.
So when
of course,
when my identification, my search for who am I gets like deeper and deeper, and I feel like, wow, being German is not my identity. Being a male is not my identity. Being my history, being 34 years old, father, blah, YouTube, blah, is not my identity. Suddenly, it's really hard to even have a really clear opinion about something.
I think it's the opposite. Like, yes and no, it's complex, because identity helps us to choose a side.
What kind of identity?
Like what you said, like if I know that I identify myself as a woman, so for sure things that like I can choose much easier aside when it comes to those topics. When I'm defining myself very clear as Israeli, as Zionist, as Jewish, whatever, my political perspective, it will be easy. It's like I have a path that someone gave me to go after. And when I have less definitions of who am I, it's exactly the opposite. It's much harder to choose a side, but I think it's much better, because then we can see the reality in a more complex or more wider perspective. And it's not mean, and I think it can confuse people, because it can maybe people will think, if I don't choose a side, it's a problem. Like I need to choose a side.
How have been your experiences? Because some peace activists here told me that they really feel like a social whatever, that the family will be offended, the friends will be offended when you are doing peace work, when you try to forgive. What are your experiences with this?
I've been people send me back to, told me go to Gaza, go back, I never been there, go to Gaza, go to Auschwitz. People send me to hard places just because of my belief. And it's even more crazy that today I saw a nice sign, like a graffiti somewhere, say, you can be compassionate to more than one side. But people don't like it. It's complex for them. Like, we can be, like today, the world is asking us to choose which side we have compassion to. And speaking about forgiveness
that?
and...
Why is that? Why do you think is there always this necessity to choose a side? Why is everyone asking you to choose a side?
I think it's related to what we spoke before. It's like we need to, give security. I know who are the people that supporting me. I know who is my group of people.
So it belongs to the search for identity, actually.
Identity and security. Like everybody, wide, like life, everybody want to live in security. And what's give us security? It's or protection, or it's not even protection, it's the feeling, the sense of protection, the sense of security. Because there is zero security in the world today. There is zero, it's all about the sense of whatever. Like I always felt secure wherever I went. And some people will never feel secure in the same places. So it's the sense of security. So we want to have it, of course, we want to live in a secure place, and big part of it is to search for the people that they are like us. And then when we see someone that maybe is a bit different, it starts to shake the boat, the boat of security.
And this is what they are really offended of. Like you are, for not choosing a side, you're attacking my sense of security and identity somehow. Because when you refuse to identify as I am, then you're questioning my identity somehow.
Interesting. No, it's interesting. Like I do define myself. It's hard to ignore the fact that, at least as people telling me, that I'm very much Israeli in my behavior. I don't like to hear it, but what to do? I grew up in the Israeli society. I think there is amazing things, parts of the Israeli society, like in any society. Also, the Palestinian society, there is amazing things, there is fucked up things, like any other society. It's not special to one society. We all have good stuff and all fucked up same time. But I don't like when people treating me as their way of thinking of who I am. Like, and when someone define you are like this, you are Israeli, you are Jewish, and then the first thing I will say, I'm not. Okay. I'm not, because I know what you start to think about me and say about me and blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And even though it's part of me, and I don't want to take those things away. I just like to...
But you do. You do in some situations, you take them away.
Totally. But I feel it's a part of, like, I just want to show people that the life are much more complex. I don't like that people put me in a box. That's most, I guess. It's about that. But you start to speak about forgiveness, and I think it's a nice to...
Yeah, well, what I, at the moment, just to summarize what we've spoken before, a thought that was in my mind was maybe the search for peace is the same like the search for identity. Because as far as I understood and thought, as long as your kind of identity is based on something that can be like attacked, that it's made up, like a border, for example, like a memory, then you will feel insecure. The more, actually, the more deeper this, the more superficial your identification is. And so work with for peace, we were talking about what is peace actually. It's not so easy to answer. The search for peace might be actually always, when it's real peace, the search for real identity.
For security. For me, I don't like anymore the word peace. Because for me, peace, it's like ריק מתוכן in Hebrew. It's like it's nothing. It's empty. The word peace. What actually we mean when we say peace. For example, for Israelis, when you ask them peace, they will answer security. We want to live in security. If you ask Palestinians what it means peace, they also, most of them will resist this word and will say justice. So I realized during the 15 years of activism and being around Israel, Palestine, and meet thousands of people, that if you really ask people, the definition of peace will be different. For Israel, it's security. For Palestinians, it's justice. And then it's something we can speak about. What it takes from us to give justice to Palestinians, what it's need for Israelis to feel safe and secure.
Okay, yeah.
And that's for me peace. Regarding the political issue, personally speaking, peace is a sense of feeling. It's like when you do meditation or finish a session, or I don't know, you have this when you are in someone you love. It's like it's a feeling. In the yoga retreat that we had, there was so many moments there that I felt we're really in peace.
Yeah.
Like when we sat next to the fire and the people shared their life, like Abdallah was sharing, or Ahmad was sharing, or one of the Israelis shared their life story, and there was a lot of like questioning and like really deep listening, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But, we see it as completely different things to think about what is peace or just experiencing peace. Completely different things. Because on the one hand side, peace seems to be different wherever you ask.
Yeah.
But on a level of experience, it's kind of the same thing. It's the thing we connect inside,
in
right?
the feeling level, it's the same. If you will go all over the world and you ask people, describe a moment that you felt peace, most chances that the feeling or the stories will be the same.
Yeah.
But politically speaking, I guess it will be different.
And somehow it's like in your work, you try to bringing this together somehow.
Yes, very much. Yes. I don't know.
How do you do this? Can you tell us just a story about your life, about your work, that you sometimes think about a story, maybe you think about like, wow, this was some kind of special, or this was where I really learned something about peace, activism, bringing two things together?
Actually, I will tell... There is a few things coming to my mind. I will share one from recently, actually, from a few months ago. in the time of the war, there was a demonstration, like a silent demonstration in Palestine, in Bejala. We were standing together, Israelis and Palestinians from the organization Combats for Peace. Amazing organization, they do amazing work.
Combats for Peace?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's people that been soldiers or fighters against the other side, Israelis and Palestinians, and then something changed in them, and then they realized that they are combat for peace. So we stand together in a silent demonstration, which is much more powerful than shouting, I feel. Just to stand silently with signs against the war.
So there's no talking at all? No?
We were just standing in silent.
Wow, that's impressive.
Israeli, Palestinian together. Not many people, but it felt a lot. And Palestinian cars were passing and Israeli cars, and I feel, for me, it was a nice moment from really recently, like powerful in this moment of peace, that this feeling of being together in whatever happens. Like, yeah, I think it was very powerful. I have many stories from maybe sometimes demonstrations. In the past, I used to go much more, just to go, with friends. I got arrested a few times in my life by the Israeli army, mostly.
So by your own army, actually?
Yeah. Which is sad, but in a way I do understand them from their perspective. I don't agree with this, but from their perspective, they do their job, and they do it quite good. I don't agree to a lot of it. Yeah, a few years ago I was arrested with 2 Palestinian friends of mine outside of Jerusalem. We just spent time in nature, and then someone saw Israeli car with Palestinian car together, and then he called the police, and police came and saw us and arrested me and us. They thought that I was like taking illegally Palestinian to Israel. It was a mess up story, never mind, but I think the fact for me, the fact that we were like together in this, in a hard situation, it's it's like to fight, let's say to fight many places that I felt that we are fighting together. Or what, I have another nice story. This was a nice one. A few months ago, when one of the times that the government of Islamic government of Iran was planning to throw rockets on Israel and demolish Israel. So in the same weekend, we had a community weekend in nature of one of my Israeli-Palestinian communities. And it was weird feeling around the country, like I was driving, and it felt that it's going to be our last day here. It was weird. Like so many cars drove like kind of like as a refuge. People felt like ran away, like didn't know where to go, where the missiles from Iran will fall. Crazy fear, and people drove. And I was driving, and then I was like thinking and talking with a friend that organized it, a Palestinian friend, and people were talking like to come, not to come, it will be our last day because Iran going to demolish Israel, what to do, what we do. And then it came to me, and I'm crying now by telling this story. Well, it's the moment that I understand that if it will be my last day on this land or on this earth, I want it to be with these community. Like, it was so clear. And for me, it was amazing. Like, and then when I arrived there, it was next to, in the Jordan River, actually, it was next to the Sea of Galilee. We met there. It was a beautiful weekend in nature. And everybody said, everybody, Israelis and Palestinians that were there said, we all came here in a thinking that it will be our last day. And we said, that's the place we wanted to be, like, together.
Oh.
So for me, it's like, yeah, it's a very touching story, but I really felt, and I feel everybody all over the world trying to separate us. And they don't understand. People don't understand that there is people here that recognize, we spoke about recognition, that, of course, it's not everybody. It's not. But there is a big community here in Israel, in Palestine, of people that recognize the other existence on this land.
So they're widening their understanding of to whom I belong somehow.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's many people out from other countries don't know that it exists, and then trying to separate us. I don't let it happen. Yeah, this is where the place I get activist, like, and becoming like, fuck it, no. But yeah, it's really, we are much more together as people see in the media. I think this is it's a big thing.
This is pretty interesting. Yeah, like being here, seeing how many completely different influences there are. Like the peace activism community, it's not small. There are a lot of people who are really demonstrating for peace.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who are really into fighting and combat and war and, you know, like... And a lot of people like in between somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, in between, and some people demonstrate against the Israeli occupation. Some people don't use this word, but saying we are supporting peace. So there is many different scales. Yeah.
There are even like Jews demonstrating against Israel here.
Yeah, there is many. There is the religious sects, but don't get into it. It's too small group. Yeah, the one that we're speaking about. Yeah, I'm not getting into it because but
it's existing.
But it exists. Amazing. Everything exists here. Everything exists in this land. There is non-Zionist Orthodox that demonstrate with Palestinians against the Israeli occupation. There is Israeli secular non-Zionist and there is Zionists that demonstrate against the occupation, and there is people that demonstrate for peace, and they are Zionists. There is everything from everything. So I think when someone, like, I have my clear ideas about what I support and what not. It's not that I'm not choosing a side. It's not mean that I don't have a clear idea what I support and what I'm not. I'm against war. I'm against control on other people, when other people with less rights, of course. It's just mean like that not to choose a side. It's just mean that I understand that I see the complexity of the situation, because there is so many small sects, groups, ideas here on this land. And nobody, include the people here in the land, don't know. None of us know nothing, basically.
And this is sometimes like a good way also for myself to go out somehow, to remember that I know nothing, you know.
Put the ego, speaking about all the ego talks. To become more anav, I don't know the word in English, more like with less ego.
Yeah.
With less ego, like more, I don't know the word.
But there is so much friction in opinions and in willing to be right and in stuff.
Yeah.
But you, when we are talking about forgiveness now, you were saying a pretty beautiful thing before, in terms of the soldiers who have arrested you. You tried to like feel their point of view, and to feel this is we've talked about this before, is maybe the first step to real forgiveness, to really being able to see the other person where it's like standing at the moment, what is doing.
You know, it's reminding me, and of course it will remind because you're a German, and I have a cards here, maybe later I can show you a card of Etty Hillsum. Etty Hillsum, she's Jewish, born in, I think in Holland, and she was in Auschwitz and been murdered when she was 21, and she wrote one of the most beautiful, inspired diaries ever. And two friends, one Israeli, one Palestinian, took Dina Awad and Emma Shamba. They took her diary and they create cards in Hebrew and Arabic and English with her words. And she's saying there a lot. She's speaking a lot about forgiveness. And she writing everything while she was in the camps, in the camp in Auschwitz. And she's saying, life is beautiful. I'm not, I don't feel any hate, not even to this soldier that put me in this camp. And of course, it's a different level of, it's a higher level of understanding reality, but I think we all need to direct this direction. Like, of course, I don't agree to this soldier that arrested me. Same time, I think this is like, you know, we spoke yesterday about like, what is the spiritual practice, and I feel part of it is how we can see all humans as equal, to look at them in an equal way. Mm-hmm. It's not mean that they are equal, but it's like our spiritual practice is how to see everybody as...
For me, this is like what's getting closest to the perspective of the divine somehow, because I think God is looking to all of us the same way.
Besides Jews, we are more. I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really good example for
for sure. I know. I give it.
Conflict happens when you, and I know this from myself. Seriously, I wanted to be special. I wanted to be God's special favorite, and all of this stuff. And this history is everywhere, not only in Judaism.
Yeah.
But like deciding to see everyone like in worthiness, in specialty, as equals. This is for me the step to seeing, to be like focused on the miracle of life actually, because it's everywhere or it's nowhere somehow. It's when I cannot see it in you, I will never see it in me.
Yes, it's true. Like, I don't know if I have something to say about it, but it's like, now I'm just still thinking about the forgiveness conversation that we had, that I want to go back to it. But of course, it's like we all special. It's like we all special. I'm special exactly like I'm special. Like you're special. It's true. Like we all special in a way, but in the same time, we all want to feel more special
than others.
And each one create his own story. Like the Jewish perspective that we've been the chosen one. I even heard recently that there is a Muslim perspective that it's written in the Quran, I'm not sure that's what I heard, that the Jews are being the chosen one, but then God, Allah changed it, and then he said, no, you're not, we are, like the Muslim. So each one make up a story
to prove how special
they are. And that's what makes it so much complicated, because then how you can argue it's a belief. Like, if you feel that you're special, who am I to tell you you're not? And then that's why war will never end if we still think that way, because I cannot argue on the fact that you think that you're special. It's not a fact. It's a belief.
So if changing this is somehow necessary, and it basically is for forgiveness, when we continue talking about
let's talk about forgiveness. I want to speak about forgiveness.
I think we do the whole time.
Yeah.
I think we do, because
maybe like this, but yeah.
Yeah, but when we start that a way to look in the world, I want to prove that I'm special and you're not, or I'm more special than you, or my truth is more true than your truth. Like all of this. Forgiveness seems to like make it necessary to let go of all of this.
Yes.
And it's pretty hard maybe to convince someone to do this.
I think forgiveness, I don't know where I heard it, that forgiveness is the highest, it's like the highest value of God. It's like, this is like a God.
Wow, yeah.
Something, I hope I say it right in English, sorry for my English, but God always will forgive us. If we will be able to forgive, basically we're God.
Wow.
Ooh, wow. That's what came to me now. Wow. And it's like the highest, because to forgive, there is so many things. Wow. To forgive, no, really, it's interesting. Like, to forgive, there is so many things that we need to go through on the way to be able to forgive. Like we spoke before, to be able to forgive, it's like I need to recognize your existence. If I'm not recognizing your existence, how can I forgive? To who? To who I forgive? Like, Palestinians want a forgiveness. Palestinian want forgiveness, maybe. I assume. How can we, I say we as an Israeli nation, how we can forgive them, how we can say we're sorry, if most of the people, unfortunately, in Israel don't recognize Palestinians and their existence. So there is so many things that need to happen before, like, so I think recognition need to come before forgiveness. And I think there is maybe things that need to come even before, like what we need for recognition. And then it's like a double thing, like I told you, and I think I would like to share it also here. Like, in my perspective, many of the Palestinian refugees today around the world that still considered as refugees because of a political game of government not to give the people citizenship for this game to continue. If in my perspective, and it's an assumption only, Israel as a state will tell to the Palestinians, we are sorry for what we did and for kicking you out in 48, 67, and you are welcome to come back. Most of the people I feel won't come back. They have their homes, their life in whatever countries around. People need to feel that they receive this recognition. As what I told you about this friend in Germany that I went a few years ago, and she came, and it was super powerful. And she came and told me, I'm sorry for what my people in Germany did to your people. And it was super powerful. Like both of us just hugged and cried. And even though it wasn't here and it's not my family that happened, like actually there is, but yeah. But I didn't grow up on this narrative so much. And still it was so powerful because I feel it created like a collective healing in a sense of she saw me, like we said, like in Avatar, I see you.
Yeah.
I don't know how they say it in Avatar, which is nice, but it's really, I recognize, not just I recognize your existence, I see your pain.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, and then it's easy to say, I'm sorry. So, and I feel it's a big thing because as I told you before, like I feel a lot of the Israeli Jewish fear, maybe question, still exists because people never really heard deeply the word I'm sorry, for example, from Germans, even though it's not them, but it's history-wise, and it's like when someone say it, it's like it's give more security. When people don't hear it, it's like we said, it's closing the karma.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that closed the karma. Okay, now we can start again. And that's what I feel, that this is my wish that we will do to hear Israelis and Palestinians. Like we will just say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I see you, and I'm sorry. I love you, I thank you. I thank you, please forgive me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like connected to the practice of Ho'oponopono.
Yes.
And it's like, it makes me take responsibility basically for all I see.
For my actions, and not just for my action, for my ancestors' actions, and basically my karma. Like I connect to, it's like to connect to the bigger picture. It's not just me. There is like people, there is a saying that says, if I heal myself, I heal all the ancestors, all the people that were before me.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a big thing. Like I do a lot. Like I think my activism, speaking about me as activist, so-called, is healing.
Uh-huh.
This is my activism. It's a collective healing. If I can frame it, my wish is that people that live in this land will be free from, as the Buddhist saying, may everybody will be free from suffering and will be free.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. You spoke about this first part. This is really beautiful, because it leads to like a peace activist is someone who wants healing, not only for himself but like for everybody.
Yeah.
And this is like talking about this first step you mentioned, like seeing somebody. It's, in my opinion, when I walk through the world and I have this perception in my mind, I have had it and I still have it, that I'm some kind of hero, protagonist, and everyone else is like, a less important role. This is this is somehow, it's just a misperception. It's just not true. When I realized that everyone is alive like me, like is a self like me, is like a being like me, like has a whole life, has family, has experiences,
Yes.
is present at this moment, the same like me, then I feel like my perception of I'm the hero and you are not, you are less important than me in my life, it's just a misperception somehow. And I just felt during you were talking that I'm sorry for this. Sorry for my misperception that you are less important than me. And this is powerful.
Wow.
Wow.
You're excited.
I'm super excited right now. Oh God. Because
misperception. 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 It can be someone's name. Yeah. Never mind.
I'm sorry for just this misperception that there is, because seriously, when I want to forgive, when I will feel like that it's necessary for my healing to forgive.
Yes.
Because I'm carrying so much stuff around me. As long as I have the belief I'm more important than you, I will feel guilty. I won't feel love, and I won't feel freedom, and I won't recognize who is with me, actually.
True. I think this is the thing mostly, that you won't feel, again, like when we separate, in a way, ourselves from others. I'm better, I'm the chosen one, I'm more important, I'm smarter, I'm blah, 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 blah. It's blah, blah, blah. It leads to blah, blah, blah. No, it's just, yeah, karma is a bitch. That's what came to me to say. I don't know, like, sorry for saying this.
But I think I know where it's leading.
But yeah, it's just like, but it's tricky. Of course it's tricky because we want, as humans, to feel important. That's why it's so tricky, like you're right. Like, we cannot let ourselves feel more important than others or more special than others, but in the same time, we are. If I'm not more special, what the hell I'm doing here?
This is a true question about like spirituality and about like awakening itself, because I think this is the fear of the ego to die.
Yes.
If I'm not more special than anyone else, who am I?
What is? Then it's back to the who am I question.
Seriously. So we have to kind of experience the new meaning of being like, how to say, like that our specialness is only
special.
Is only given when everyone else is special too, like the same specialness.
But each one, it's like, it's like in a kindergarten, I don't know, the saying, you're special, you're special, you're special. It's true, each one is special in his own way. Maybe that's the way to look at it, like to see that each one, it's like we all special needs. We all have, we are all, we all have, we all humans with special needs and we need to feel special to function, like to do things. Like if I wouldn't, let's take, I don't know, the yoga retreat that we did. If I wouldn't feel that it's special, I wouldn't do it. Zero chances that I would do it. And I see here, Mitzpe, it's a good example. There is like hundreds of yoga teachers here. Like every step you go, there is, it's like Berlin. Like there is a yoga teacher here. I'm not teaching here, and it's a good example. I'm not teaching here because I don't feel special. I don't do nothing here because I'm not special. Where I do my work in places where I feel special. So it's important to feel special, to continue do our thing, but without canceling the other specialty of others, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's not a question of specialness at all. It's more a question of value.
Value.
Because, like it's, on the one hand side, I can say, well, I'm one yoga teacher out of 1 million yoga teachers here.
Yeah.
And I kind of hate the other yoga teachers, therefore they are yoga teachers and they will steal my specialness somehow.
Yeah.
This is toxic, because I will bind my value on this shit. So finding the specialness and this is what I felt just before, like being sorry for my misperception, that I was holding myself for more important than you, there is directly some kind of feeling in my heart that feels really special at this moment. I cannot think at all because there is a flow between you and me, and this is making me alive.
Nice.
Here is really something going on, and
nice.
And this is pure life, and it really feels like, wow, I'm not able to ask the question of specialty when I feel connection. And this is like a really nice step about convincing myself that the death of ego specialness is no death at all. It's just a gate to being more alive somehow.
Yes. Yes. Done. Nothing to say. This topic, it seems that it's been closed. Wow.
So.
Peace for the Middle East. What do I say? There is this sentence: from the river to the sea, we all need a therapy. That's what I want to finish with. Yes.
May we listen.
Yeah.
May we listen. And
from the river to the sea, we all need healing. That's what we need.
Beautiful. And so let's understand, when we start perceiving us in a way as peace worker, remember that, and this is the most important thing for me, that I'm the one who has to heal, actually. I'm I need this therapy like everyone else. I cannot exclude me in this equation.
No.
Not at all.
If you think that you take yourself out of this how you say? Equation, it's when you need even more. Usually. Just saying. Yeah.
Let's always think about this, where we have to start.
Yes.
This is a favorite move, like in the community I am, because we're always remembering who we are teaching, always, our whole life. This one.
Wow.
So,
nice.
Let's go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, for being a part of all this, for your support. We will, work on making the work of Karen and all of the associates in Satyam, and so making it visible somehow, that, we can just see how work here is taking place.
And I will add one more thing. I feel it's important to remember that things are much more complex as they look like. I think it's important. Like every time that we have the assumptions that we know, put a question and ask how much I know, if it's enough, if there is more to know. Because I feel there is always more to know, always more to understand. And come to visit here, Israel, Palestine. Yeah. Come and see with your eyes.
Yes. Thank you.
Danke.
Thank you. Danke.
Danke.